GBA have very kindly sent me this all metal hot end, completely free of charge, with no obligation other than to just give them a bit of feedback on it. It's a drop-in replacement for the typical Ender 3 style hot end, the original CR10 version, and this is an all metal version. So instead of on the normal ones where your Bowden tube comes all the way through the heat sink and sits right on the back of the nozzle, your Bowden tube on this one stops about where my nail is there. So this means if you're printing at higher temperatures a lot, you haven't got the heat from the nozzle deforming the back of the Bowden tube, which can then lead to clogs. So, having never used one of these before, I reached out to a couple of friends in the printing community. I always go to them when I need grown-ups help, and they've given me a rough idea of how this should go together. So let's see if I can do it without completely messing it up or getting myself stuck to it or something. So the basics are, you have your heat block, and this is your throat or your heat break. This is my second time doing this video because I kept calling this piece heat break, even though I know it's a heat sink. Every so often I get a word muddled in my head and then it sticks. So that just screws in there. Got to hand tight. It comes with a spanner for tightening it. And I've just got this other spanner here to hold the heat block just so I can get a little bit of torque on it. So there we go, that's nice and tight. That's that part done. And then what happens is this part goes into the heat sink like so, and you've got a little grub screw here which goes in and locks it in place. But before you lock it in place, you've got two screws here. This kit doesn't come with a Phillips screwdriver, but they are just probably a P1, maybe a P2. So you put both of those in, that holds the block straight. Then you drop in your grub screw, and then when you get as far as putting this on your printer and you do the hot tighten of the nozzle, you leave those screws in, and then when you finish you take the screws out. But before you do that step, you also have to apply some thermal paste to this area so that it marries with this outer ridge. You do not want to get any in the middle where the filament flows, otherwise you could end up with problems. So this is the bit that could get entertaining because I've not used thermal paste very often, or thermal grease, and when I have done in the past it's been in a little syringe dispenser. So I thought ahead and got some tissues. So that's the basic process. Get some of the thermal grease on the outside of there and then get this into here, hopefully without any major mess ups. So if you're placing bets on how quickly I'll mess it up or forget my manners and swear, start betting now. So we open the grease packet, one step done, and then this is where it probably goes everywhere. If I get this without messing it up, it will be an absolute shock to me. Come on, what's going on? Oh, for Pete's sake, that hasn't opened. Right, it's okay. We have the technology. And now it'll probably spray everywhere. And of course I do have tubes of thermal grease, thermal paste, whatever you want to call it. Couldn't tell you where they are, but no doubt I'll find them later. That still doesn't want to come out. How far back does this need cutting? I really don't want it all splurging out in one go. See, all of my videos are so carefully polished. I know exactly what I'm doing, and any mistakes are airbrushed out. You won't see any of this in the final edit. And if you watched anything else on my channel, you know that's a complete wind up, because I intentionally leave in mistakes. The only time I'll can a video and start over is if I completely ruin it, or I slip and use bad language. And the main reason I do that is because, much so I swear an awful lot in real life, I don't think it's necessary for videos like this. I also share all of my videos on the groups I admin, which is the 3DP Rescue umbrella of groups, and we have a very clear policy there. We don't allow any use of bad language because we are children friendly, and Facebook holds our group to a very high standard because of that. So we don't allow bad language, we don't allow swearing, we don't accept acronyms or things like that that hint at swearing. So if you're looking for a Facebook group that you can browse with your children, feel free to join us. We're a very lively group. We're on the way to, I think, 9,000 members now around the world. Our ethos is everybody gets help with kindness and compassion. You won't be told printing isn't for you. In fact, one of our headline rules is you do not answer a question with just Google it. Because our founder got so tired of all the toxic groups where people would ask a question hoping for help and would be treated like dirt and potentially put off the hobby. So we don't do that. Okay, let's put that to one side before I accidentally squirt it everywhere. And wow, I would not bet on me getting this right. I'm sure there's somebody watching this going, oh, you've done it all wrong. Hopefully I can still wing it. Now comes the fun bit, because this is tiny, and if I drop it, you know it's going to go straight down the back of the desk and never appear again. Right, so, come on. No, don't fall, don't. If I've no, where did that go? I knew that was going to happen. Wow, got it. It would be rather annoying if I managed to do the thermal grease without messing up, and then completely lost this little grub screw. Because I have got spares, but I would need this grub screw for size to check my spares. Right, now stay there. Off camera I do this dozens of times and it goes in no problem. But because I'm trying to frame it and concentrate on what I'm doing, it's not behaving. And nope, you're not right. There we are. Nope. Yes. If you're not used to doing things like this, when you're putting in a bolt or a threaded grub screw like this, don't just chuck it in the hole and spin it to tighten it, because that's how you cross thread it. You line it up in the threaded hole and then you reverse and you feel as you go in. You'll know when it drops into the threads because you'll feel a click, and that's when you very gently tighten it up. And if you get in the habit of that, you'll have far fewer cross-threaded bolts. Okay, so that's that. And now our nozzle should go in. I'm only putting this in hand tight for now, and then I'll hot tighten it afterwards. There we go. And then in the top, it comes with two of these little black collets. So that snaps down in there, hopefully, and hopefully not literally snapping. Come on. It will snap down in there. Come on. believe it or not, when I took this out of the packet it was all shiny, but the amount of time I've spent handling it, all that lovely silver finish is now covered in fingerprints. There we go. So that's in. That holds your Bowden tube. So you push your Bowden tube in as far as it will go, and then you have your little plastic retaining clips that will just lift that up and lock it in place so the tube won't come out. And they've very nicely included a spare of each and a lovely bright orange sock. And then here we have the screw that holds your thermistor, and I've just noticed I'm not seeing a grub screw to hold the, oops, out of focus. So this screw here will hold your thermistor bulb, and I'm not seeing a grub screw for this. I bet in all my fiddling about I've lost that one, but that's fine, I've got loads, I'll find one. So that's the basic assembly. I will now go hunting for another grub screw. This is all going on to one of my Ender 2 Pros, and it came along at just the right time because I'd thrown a hot end on it quickly when it had clogged, and I was not paying attention. I didn't lock it up properly, and this is the result. When I first took the fan off, it looked like it had been chewing on fruit salads, if you know what that sweet is. Just all yellow and orange. And that's your original heat sink. Well done, we got the right word there. And with that you can see the Bowden tube goes all the way through. And that is what this is remedying, because it just comes to here, so it keeps your Bowden tube in the cold zone up here and well away from the hot zone here. So, there we go, no major dramas. I've just got to go and find another grub screw, get this hooked up, change some settings, and then I'll run a few prints and see how it goes. So thank you again for GBA for sending me this for free of charge, and I will leave a link to their store in the comments.